Hello everyone, Junaid here. Welcome back to my channel. I make videos about USA family immigration. I'm not an immigration lawyer. I have expressed my views based on my research. So anything I said in this video or on my channel is for information purposes only. The content in the channel is for informational purposes and collected from various public domains. I'm not providing any legal advice through the content of this video. Kindly consult a professional immigration lawyer for any legal advice or any specific needs for your immigration case. Before we talk about today's topic, I just wanted to ask for your suggestions that do you prefer me to sit in front of the camera and talk about the immigration related topics in my own voice using my own words? Or do I make my videos by using the online free video clips as a background, like drone footages and some other video clip A, clip B, with the text and some background music with the computer voiceover? Please put down your suggestions in the comment section. I'll wait for your ideas. Thank you. As part of my constant efforts to provide you the most latest information about your immigration visa process, in this video, we will discuss about August 2021 and future visa bulletin predictions by the State Department officials. First, who is Mr. Charlie Oppenheim? Mr. Charlie Oppenheim is Chief of the Visa Control and Reporting Division from the State Department, has given some insights and predictions about August 2021 and future visa bulletins in his most recent video interview on the State Department's official YouTube channel on 19th of July 2021. Predictions by Mr. Charlie Oppenheim are covering the fiscal year 2021, which is till the end of September. If you are interested in any of these immigration related topics, please stay tuned till the end of this video for your latest US immigration updates. What is the role of Mr. Charlie Oppenheim? Mr. Charlie is in charge to issue the visa bulletin each month around the 10th of every month for the next month, and fixes the dates on the visa bulletin based on demands and availability of the visas. As we know that family visa categories are subject to annual numerical limitations, which means that only a set number of visas are available each fiscal year, which means the more demand, the more dates will move backward or stay the same. If there is less demand, then the dates will move forward in the visa bulletin. Although no one can predict exactly that how visa bulletin will move in the future month, Mr. Charlie has given some insights into the immigration trends he understands. What is visa availability during visa process? During your immigration process, visa availability is important because you cannot receive an immigrant visa if you are residing outside the United States, or get your green card if you are residing inside the United States, unless a visa number is available to you. When your petitioner files the form I-130, the date on which USCIS receives your filing is your priority date. Each month, Visa Bulletin indicates the visa availability by the priority dates. As we know, due to the ongoing pandemic situations globally, the utilization of family-based visas will remain low just because 95% of the family-based visas are processed by the consular officers at the overseas posts, which have a very limited number of visa appointments available. As from the start of the pandemic, the pause and the slow movements in the visa bulletin are creating curiosity among all the applicants who are desperately waiting for their visas, and they wanted to know more about the upcoming visa bulletins and immigration trends just because the fiscal year is almost ending in September 2021. Now, let's jump into some of the important answers by Mr. Charlie during his interview. The following answers are trimmed and presented in our video. I have given the link in the description below for the full interview, so you can check there as well. Mr. Charlie started his answers with a serious issue which is currently being faced and tackled by the State Department. Here you can see the details of that issue.
Yeah. Before we get to the questions today, I'd like to address an issue which I've begun to see in the chat with Charlie questions, which are coming into our Visa Bulletin email address in advance of this event. And seeing a significant percentage of the questions being received appear to be those that maybe online chat groups have provided in a suggested copy this text and send it to Charlie chat questions. This is a very unproductive approach to asking questions, since we have to open a significant amount of messages with exactly the same question, and that diminishes our ability to review the hundreds and hundreds of questions which are coming in each month. And then therefore, it's likely that we may miss important questions which listeners would like addressed. So again, would prefer that, I'm happy to see questions come in, but this massive amount of duplicates is unproductive to the listener group.
Now, question number 1. I am documentarily qualified and already current in Chart A of the Visa Bulletin. So why I haven't been scheduled despite the eligibility? Here's the response.
Yeah, this is a very question we've been getting a lot, both for this purpose and in the Visa office as a whole. It's important to say that throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the NVC has continued to schedule appointments and is warehousing cases for consular sections that have not been able to resume their routine IV processing. And depending on the country's local restrictions and resources, the consular sections abroad provide their projected capacity for scheduling to the National Visa Center about 30 to 60 days in advance. This allows NVC to begin scheduling those appointments and get the information out to the applicants early. Other than age-out cases, inter-country adoption and expedites based on certain FAM regulations upon visa availability, the NVC schedules our immigrant visa appointments for visa categories in chronological order in which the date the case was deemed documentarily qualified, meaning they had been asked to submit certain required documents. All of those documents have been received and have been verified. Then our National Visa Center fills the available appointment slots in a first come, first out manner within each visa class in accordance with each consular section's capacity. I'd advise listeners to refer to the guidance on the NVC IV Backlog report website to view the worldwide data count of applicants which have been processed by NVC, and then that'll determine how many have become documentarily complete. So again, NVC and the overseas posts are trying to get to all of the appointments and applicants as quickly as possible. It's being done in chronological order, and basically they're having to catch up on cases that could have been scheduled as far back as March of 2020.
Question number 2. Any information regarding the amount of unused fiscal year 2021 family and employment numbers that there may be? Here's the response.
Sure. During the past these past YouTube events, I've mentioned that both State Department and USCIS are doing everything possible based on their respective processing capabilities in an effort to maximize number use in both the family and employment and diversity visa categories. I can tell you there's been a significant increase in the amount of family-sponsored number use at our overseas posts during the past 2 months. And therefore, I have lowered my previous estimate of unused family numbers slightly, and now believe there'll be approximately 150,000 unused family numbers. On the employment side, the USCIS use of employment numbers continues to increase. It may not be at the levels many people would like, but it is increasing and they're doing their best. But I do believe there could be approximately 100,000 unused employment numbers. Again, the COVID-related issues, which have had a dramatic negative impact on the processing of fiscal 2021 cases, continues to make providing these estimates very difficult. But again, I can assure everyone that every effort is being made by State Department offices and USCIS offices to maximize number use under the respective annual 2021 annual limits.
Question number 3. In the last session, you mentioned that almost all application filing dates of the October 2020 Visa Bulletin had been reached by the final action dates in 2021. That is not true for family sponsored categories. Can you explain why? Here's the response.
Yes, when I said that most of the application filing dates announced in October 2020 had been reached, I was responding to a question about the employment-based preference categories. In the employment preference categories, except for the India EB3 application filing date, which was subsequently retrogressed, all of the employment application filing dates have been reached or exceeded, and the retrogressed final action date for the India employment third preference category will be reached in September. In terms of the family sponsored application filing dates, the difference is that approximately 95% of the family cases are processed overseas. The application filing dates, which were announced last October, were based on our hope that overseas posts would be able to provide processing and return to a somewhat normal operational status much earlier than has been possible during fiscal 2021. Therefore, conditions have prevented our returning to those dates or having reached those dates.
Question number 4. Can you provide any insight into the movement of family-sponsored final action dates for October and beyond? Here's the response.
Sure. Except for the Mexico and some Philippine dates, little, if any, forward movement can be expected in the family dates during probably the first 3 to 6 months of fiscal 2022. This estimate is based strictly on current conditions and the current Immigration and Nationality Act guidelines versus the amount of demand which we currently have. Again, the family dates which have been established this year would, in a normal time, have maximized number use under the annual limit, and therefore we're going to have all this demand, quote, pent up, ready to go come October under the next fiscal year's annual limit.
Question number 5. The Appropriation Committee's fiscal year 2022 Homeland Security Funding Bill contains an amendment to recapture the unused fiscal year 2020 and 2021 visa numbers. What would be the impact of such a proposal? Here's the answer.
I'm very aware of this proposal and have analyzed it, but I'm not at liberty to discuss the impact of any proposed legislative action. In part, even if it were ultimately passed, proposed language is often changed before the final bills are enacted. So it would not be prudent of me to make any comments at this point.
After answering this question, he said, right, it is not final and Mr. Charlie cannot comment on anything that isn't final yet. Question number 6. Will the rest of the world make progress for F4 as August F4 was advanced slightly for the August Visa Bulletin? Here's the response.
F4 was advanced slightly for August. Some of the worldwide dates may advance slightly for September, along with some of the Mexico and potentially the Philippines fourth preference date. All may advance slightly for the month of September. And then, as I stated earlier, I believe a significant period of time can be expected for the rest of world final action dates to be holding as we enter into the early part of fiscal 2022.
Question number 7. When do you expect the dates on the worldwide F4 adjustment dates to move again to be able to be docked to documentarily qualified documents, as they haven't moved for a long time? Here's the response.
The worldwide family fourth preference dates have been advancing throughout the year. Maybe not as quickly as they had last year or at the very beginning of the year. The Philippines dates and the Mexican dates, are fourth preference dates, are not advancing at a very rapid pace. But I think, as I said earlier, I think that what you see for September is likely to be what you're going to get family-wise for rest of world for the next 3 to 6 months. And again, Mexico to some extent, and possibly Philippine family dates, they may continue to advance somewhat, but rest of world, very limited, if any.
Question number 8. When is visa number considered utilized by the Department of State? Is it when USCIS approves the case or when the case is documentarily qualified? Here's the response.
It varies on we allocate numbers, blocks of numbers on a monthly basis for our use at our overseas post. For example, we've already provided a block of numbers for the applicants who are being scheduled for interview during the month of August. That number is either used for visa issuance, or at the end of August, it would be returned to our offices in Washington and put back into the pool of numbers available for the upcoming months. This is one of the things where I say, when I'm making the determination of the final action dates, I have to take a lot of variables into consideration, because I'll be doing the September dates in early August. I'm going to have to estimate how many of the block of numbers that I gave out already for August, how many of those will be used and how many may be returned, in the same consideration for September. In terms of the USCIS, if a case has been filed with them and they've actively been working on it, they may have interviewed the applicant, but between the time when the applicant originally filed their I-45 and the case was ready for final adjudication, the applicable final action date has retrogressed, then they can go ahead and request a visa number, but it is going to go into our pending demand file for future use, because it is the applicable date at the time of final action on the adjustment of status governs the use of a number, not what was available when it was filed. But say that an applicant were at the Washington District Office today being interviewed, and they deemed that the person was eligible, fully eligible, the USCIS officer would enter certain required information into their computer. They press a button and they get an immediate response from my office indicating that either a visa number has been authorized, which is typically what happens, or in the case, as I mentioned, if the date had retrogressed, it goes into the pending demand file. But at that time, when they do the request for the final action on it, at that time when we authorize a number is reduced from the amount available for the fiscal year.
Question number 9. How do you determine if and how much you will advance in the final action and filing dates? Here's the response.
Yeah, this is always, I think this is kind of a repeat that's from one of the early events. But when I'm making the determination of the final action dates for an upcoming month, I consider variables such as how many numbers have already been used, how many additional numbers may be used in the current month, and how many numbers remain under the various annual limits. I then look at the amount of demand which has been reported to my office at that specific time, then compare the total with the numbers which I want to have established as a target for number use in the upcoming month. I have a very similar process for determining the application filing dates, But there I am estimating how much additional demand I may need to be generated in the next 6 to 12 months in order to maximize number use. So I will, if I were to move, say, the September application filing dates, it's so that I would generate numbers which I think will be required under my respective targets for number use 8 or 6 to 12 months in the future. That's why there was such a dramatic increase forward movement of many of the employment final or application filing dates last October. It was done on the anticipation that we were going to have a certain amount of numbers, potential demand for this fiscal year. And therefore we will do the same process going into the next fiscal year.
After watching this interview, as per my analysis, in the coming future, there will be fewer or no movements has been expected in the visa bulletin for family categories for a certain period of time. I found this video more focused on the employment categories instead of family categories. So, in the future, there will be more interview letters to reduce the backlogs, and fewer movements in the chart B means there will be fewer people to add to the backlogs. But interview letter depends on the pandemic conditions in that city or country where your embassy or consulate is located and the current backlog situations over there. So this is it for today. I hope you found this video helpful to understand the latest immigration trends. In the future, I will continue to give you the information related to your immigration process, particularly about all of the US immigration procedures for visa processing, like documents requirements, the latest processing times of USCIS and NVC, National Visa Center, Form DS-260, and some more. If you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. See you next time with the latest US immigration updates. Have a good day.